Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon. Yellowstone Season 5, Episode 11 finally reveals the point of the confusing flashbacks. Yellowstone Season 5, Episode 11, 353, finally explains the purpose of the flashbacks that have dominated the second half of the final season. The series returned after a 2-year hiatus to wrap up what is likely to be its grand final. It began with the explosive reveal that Kevin Costner's John Dutton is dead, but followed this up by jumping back in time for most of the episode. Yellowstone Season 5, Episode 10 also contains many flashbacks, totaling about half of the entire broadcast. Yellowstone Season 5, Episode 11 then has its own long flashback sequence, featuring Beth Kelly Rayleigh reluctantly leaving Rip Cole Hauser in Texas to drive back to Montana overnight, while Case, Luke Grimes, Monica, Kelsey Asbill, and Tate, Brecken Merrill, move into their new home and have their first dinner. However, these flashbacks catch up to the present, as John's murder takes place while Beth is driving. This sequence in 353 also leads to Case's new purpose in Yellowstone as he begins investigating what happened to his father. The flashbacks in Yellowstone Season 5, Part 2 are meant to show the disconnect between the Duttons' life before John's death and the chaos afterward. However, the flashbacks have been more confusing than illuminating. They are often not marked as taking place in the past, leaving the audience confused about what's happening or where they are in the timeline. Many of them also seem to be filler, such as with Beth's surprise trip to Texas to visit Rip. The biggest problem with these flashbacks is that they take up a considerable amount of screen time when Yellowstone only has 5 episodes to tell its final story. However, flashbacks have taken up at least half of each of the first 3 episodes, severely cutting into the amount of time the series is able to spend on the murder storyline. Additionally, the flashbacks have left little time for wrapping up each character's storyline, leaving the audience in the dark about the likely fate of most of Yellowstone's Dutton family. Yet the final sequence of flashbacks is powerful. Beth's drive home is juxtaposed with scenes of John's murder, and as the fatal shot is fired, Beth flinches and calls Rip to tell him that she has a feeling that something is wrong. Rip, however, attributes this feeling to Beth being tired and makes her promise to pull over if she's unable to drive safely due to her fatigue. Meanwhile, Case awakens suddenly, also aware something is wrong. These flashbacks thus show that Case and Beth were so close to John that they felt a psychic ripping away of part of their soul when he died, while Jamie Wes Bentley appears to have had no such reaction. While this is an important foreshadowing of the war between Jamie and Beth, the flashbacks also have another purpose. The final set of flashbacks show how happy everyone was and the plans they were making right before John's death. Beth and Rip had been thinking about moving to Texas permanently and were in a good place with their relationship, while Case and Monica had just moved into a house, Monica crying tears of joy because she finally had her family together in their own space. Sadly, that was all the calm before the storm, as John's death will completely disrupt all of this newfound happiness, and Yellowstone couldn't make that point without all of these flashbacks over the past 3 episodes. Although the flashbacks initially seemed to be a waste of screen time, it's now clear they are necessary to set the stage for the final battle ahead. Yellowstone's war between Beth and Jamie isn't only about control of the ranch or Beth's anger at John's murder. It's also about fighting for that happy future everyone envisioned. Those future plans are not attainable as long as John's murderer is still free to wreak havoc. Additionally, Jamie's manipulations of the legal system threaten the ranch's continued existence, which is not only John's legacy, but also Tate's birthright. Thus, the fight to the death is a fight to preserve the future, which makes the series finale potentially even more intense. Yellowstone will likely use its final 2 episodes to set up and complete its final battle, with the fate of the ranch itself and all the people who grew up on it hanging in the balance. This will be one of the most intense finales in television history, likely resulting in the death of at least one character and some answers about what the future holds for the surviving Duttons. The return of Yellowstone for Season 5, Episode 11 was nothing short of explosive, delivering long-awaited answers to questions that had lingered since the earliest episodes of the series. Among these revelations, the most captivating was the purpose behind the cryptic flashbacks that had been scattered throughout the season. These glimpses into the past, often shrouded in mystery, had left viewers speculating wildly about their significance. Episode 11 finally brought clarity, weaving the flashbacks into the present-day narrative in a way that was both emotionally resonant and narratively impactful. Since the beginning of Yellowstone, flashbacks have been a hallmark of the storytelling, offering insight into the Dutton family's history and their motivations. However, Season 5's flashbacks were different. They didn't immediately connect to the central plot and seemed deliberately opaque. Were they merely atmospheric, or were they laying the groundwork for something larger? The answer, as it turned out, was both. Episode 11 ingeniously used these flashbacks to deepen our understanding of John Dutton, Kevin Costner, his late wife Evelyn, Gretchen Mol, and their children, while also setting the stage for the conflict that now threatens the Dutton Ranch. A return to the roots. The episode opens with a flashback to a pivotal moment in the Dutton family's past. A young John Dutton, played by Josh Lucas, is shown grappling with the pressures of running the Yellowstone Ranch after his father's death. This sequence is raw and poignant, depicting John as a man torn between his responsibilities and his desire to maintain the family's legacy. Evelyn, as always, serves as his anchor, offering wisdom that resonates with the present-day storyline. One of the most striking aspects of the flashbacks in this episode is how they shed light on the relationships between the Dutton siblings. A particularly powerful scene shows a young Beth, Kylie Rogers, and Jamie, Dalton Baker, in a rare moment of camaraderie. Their bond, though strained in the present, is revealed to have been deeply rooted in shared trauma and loyalty. This glimpse into their childhood adds a layer of complexity to their current animosity, making their conflict all the more tragic. The seeds of betrayal. The flashbacks also reveal the origins of the betrayal that would come to define the Dutton family dynamics. In a heart-wrenching scene, young Jamie is shown making a decision that he believes will protect the family but ultimately sets him on a path of estrangement. This moment is mirrored in the present-day storyline, where Jamie's actions continue to undermine the family's unity. The parallel between past and present is a masterstroke of storytelling, emphasizing how history repeats itself within the Dutton clan. Connecting the dots. For much of the season, the flashbacks seemed disconnected from the primary narrative, but Episode 11 masterfully bridges this gap. The key lies in a revelation about the ranch's history. Through the flashbacks, we learn about a long-forgotten land dispute that nearly cost the Duttons their home. This conflict, it turns out, has direct ties to the current battle over the ranch. A new antagonist emerges in the form of a descendant of the original rival family, seeking to reclaim what they believe is rightfully theirs. This twist recontextualizes the flashbacks, transforming them from nostalgic vignettes into crucial pieces of the puzzle. Emotional payoff. The emotional impact of the flashbacks is undeniable. In one of the episode's most moving moments, present-day John reflects on a piece of advice his father gave him in a flashback. "The land is a part of you," his father says. "Lose it, and you lose yourself." This sentiment resonates deeply with John, who is faced with the imminent threat of losing the ranch to corporate greed and political machinations. The flashbacks provide a stark reminder of the sacrifices made to preserve the Yellowstone, reinforcing the stakes of the current storyline. The episode also uses the flashbacks to explore themes of legacy and identity. Case: Luke Grimes, who has often been torn between his loyalty to the ranch and his desire to carve out his own path, finds solace in a memory of his mother. In a tender scene, young Case and Evelyn share a moment that underscores the deep bond they had. This memory motivates Case to take decisive action in the present, reaffirming his commitment to the family's legacy. A narrative turning point. Episode 11 marks a turning point in the season, as the flashbacks finally converge with the present-day plot. The revelations about the land dispute and the introduction of a new adversary inject fresh urgency into the narrative. The stakes have never been higher, and the Duttons are more vulnerable than ever. Yet the flashbacks also serve as a reminder of their resilience and resourcefulness.